Hello and welcome everyone to the third session of HalloCasa. My name is Michael and today I'm hosting Jay, who is originally from Stockholm in Sweden. He's a wealth manager and has moved to Bogota about 2 years ago. I'm very happy to have him, and before we start, I would like to make sure that everyone who's listening via Google Hangouts is able to also raise his or her hand and will be able to ask some questions. Short explanation: if you go on top of Google Hangouts to the bar, next to the name of yourself, of your name, you see a question mark, and next to that there's a small panel. Looks like a net. If you click on that, you can see a symbol which is called Q&A. Click on that, and then you're gonna be able to raise your questions, and we will be happy to answer them later on. Additionally, I would like to introduce quickly our Colombia real estate guide. You can, if you watch via Hangouts, you can see it on the right-hand side. If you watch via YouTube, you can find that in the description. You can download that, and we hope it's helpful for you. Another quick point: if you are interested in becoming member of our live interview community, there's also a link in YouTube in the description, so that you're going to be able to attend them live. And also, if you're interested to become a guest, just fill out your data and then we will contact you. So Jay, welcome and happy to have you. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
Hi Michael, it's a pleasure to be on your show, and I'm just as happy to be here. Well, everyone, my name is Jay Daron. I am from Sweden, Stockholm, and I'm a wealth manager. Been so for 8 years now, more or less, and it's a challenge. I tell you, it's a challenge, a constant change, and it couldn't be better.
Okay, so that means you're originally from Stockholm. Before we go into the wealth management topic, tell us a little bit about why Colombia. I mean, that's not like the direct, the easiest and the most direct idea to go from Stockholm maybe to Colombia. Tell us, and will tell me and the audience, what triggered your movement and your idea to go to Colombia.
Absolutely, absolutely, Michael. Yes, it's definitely not the first choice of Europeans to travel and settle in Colombia. It's definitely not the choice. For me, it has always been important to see the world. I started off with going to Asia and the Middle East, and then to South America and Colombia. Went in 2009, I think it was, my first time, and that's when sorry everyone. That's when I found it out that this country has a lot to offer. I could see back then that there was a change going on, and that change is present today. You can see it almost everywhere.
What do you mean exactly by a change? Like, just to make sure, you had traveled before to Colombia and saw that change, or was it that you watched the news or read newspaper and you were like very interested in that country and were like, okay, I need to go there. I want to make sure that I'm not missing that opportunity. How was that?
Well, it actually started with I mean, everyone telling you how bad a country is. I mean, I think in the eyes of many people, especially in Europe, people have the image of Colombia being drowned in cocaine, and I can tell you that that's not how it is. And I actually wanted to see that for myself, obviously. I don't like to trust mainstream media to tell me what to do or not to do. And I came back to Colombia several times, 2009, 2010, 12, and constantly I could see the country growing and people wanting to move on from the bad times and get into the better ones.
Okay, interesting. So that means you are definitely very happy right now in Bogota. You don't see any reasons why to move back. You are definitely well, living your dream.
I don't know if I'm living a dream, but what I do love and what I do like is to be a part of the change. I like to grab the opportunities when I see them, and I could see the opportunities in Colombia a few years ago, and now I'm here, and I'm ready to take on the opportunities and be a part of that.
Okay, so you're talking about opportunities. Can you be a little bit more specific to what, for example, do you see as opportunities? Where, and also how do you plan, or how have you been leveraging these opportunities right now, so that you can also take advantage of them, and you can maybe make sure that arbitrage opportunities are favoring yourself?
Well, well, I mean, the opportunities that I can see and that I saw is basically in infrastructure. It's and it was bound back in 2010 that the government would invest huge amount of money into infrastructure, roads, tunnels, railways, improving the ports. There's a huge investment opportunity within these areas. I think just real estate in Bogota over the last 5-6 years been booming. So there's loads of opportunities, and for foreigners to come here and to see and be a part of the opportunities that has arisen, is beyond me. Why not more here?
Okay, interesting. So that means, for example, like thinking about real estate, for example, that means you are identifying infrastructure projects. And because, like, I'm not a real estate expert, but maybe one idea would be, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I'm identifying infrastructure projects, and then I'm gonna buy land close to those infrastructure projects, because I know that the value of that land will increase exponentially within the next 5 to 10 years, because there's going to be a new highway, or there's going to be a new cable car, whatsoever, being built. Or how do you approach that infrastructure opportunity?
Exactly. That's a very good point there, and I think that I'm sorry. Could you repeat that question once more, please?
Sure. Well, how do how's the process of leveraging these opportunities? Do you go and say, okay, there's a certain infrastructure project. For example, you have a metro being built in Bogota. Okay, I know that the metro lines is going to be covering new areas which were not really accessible previously, but in 5 years they're going to be accessible. So I'm going to buy land there, and afterwards I'm going to have my land is going to, the value of the land is going to increase tremendously. Is that the approach you take?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly my point. I mean, just by knowing where a new metro line, a new metro station will be available to the public, that will increase value because it's going to be more attractive, and basically the community will grow around the station if there isn't a station there already.
Okay, got it. Perfect. Previously, you mentioned that you are not only wealth manager, you have several projects. Why don't you talk a little bit about all your projects, and what are you doing, what are you dedicating yourself to, and how came you started those projects?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm more than happy to. Yes, I'm not just a wealth manager. I'm also have also started a company here in Colombia, which we are focusing on bringing and helping both European and Scandinavian companies to come here and seize the opportunities that this country has to offer. But we also want to give something for the Colombian companies, and that's taking on new markets and products to export to new clients, especially in Scandinavia. It's a market that really no one has touched, and I would like to say that we are breaking ice there.
Okay, great. That means you're a broker. You are brokering goods, maybe
Yes,
also real estate and whatever there might be of interest with certain arbitrage opportunities where you
exactly.
see, okay, there's a certain market or I don't know, like starting from fruit. Maybe you're, for example, give us an example. What are you're exporting fruits or you're importing some machinery? What are the goods you're trading the most?
Well, yeah, exactly. Fruits, obviously. Well, I mean, Sweden for many years been a huge importer of both bananas and coffee. But more exotic fruits are available these days, and you can make them last the long shipments, and that's opened up more opportunities in fruits. We also got, especially from Sweden, we got iron and other natural resources as well from Colombia. So it's basically it's a new, when it's not a new market, but for a long time it's just been about coffee and banana, and now it's not. So we're getting there. We're breaking ice.
Sure.
New
So just to make sure I understand that correctly. So that means, for example, you have, let's put the example of guanabana here, a very healthy fruit,
Yeah.
very exotic, actually almost not available in Europe as far as I know.
Mhm.
Good against cancer apparently. How do you have your potential customers back in Europe, and you tell them, okay, I got this guanabana fruit. You're gonna do all the customs yourself. You're gonna do all the process yourself, or do you have again people in between who are gonna handle all the processes yourself themselves? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, we are most like intermediaries. So that means we actually we connect the importers with the exporters. So uh, we are bringing business to these companies. Then why do you ask me why can't they do it themselves? Well, it's easy. You, if you don't know anyone, it doesn't matter if you're an importer or exporter of goods. You still need to know who and when, and that's where we come in.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's interesting. And one example of importing to Colombia, what do you do which products do you see the most being imported to Colombia?
When it comes to importing goods, I would say that it's not that much of goods coming into Colombia as it is exporting goods from Colombia. The main thing I would like to add to this is European companies and Scandinavian companies in this case to come here, open up, to establish new stores, establish new job opportunities for Colombians. There is a huge market. It's an unbelievable huge market, and I think the greatest import from Europe and Scandinavia is the companies we have over there. They should be here.
Okay, that's interesting. That's cool. That's very insightful, especially because you are not only wealth manager, you're not only managing other people's money, you're also really doing business and making sure that processes are cross-border transactions are being handled. That's very interesting. Concerning a little bit towards the let's go into the direction of investments in Colombia. Where do you see, from your point of view, where do you see the most interesting investment opportunities in Colombia yourself, and also why? And maybe both by geography and also by vertical.
Great investments in Colombia right now would definitely be if you have the money, if you really have the money, I would suggest to buy real estate, but in a very short term. It's a very short term investment. You should actually get your hands on some great undeveloped opportunities and develop them quickly and sell them off. Why I say that it comes back to I think from your first interview you had where you talked about just real estate in Colombia and the prices going up, and some people are saying that this is a bubble, some people saying it's not. I'm not gonna tell you if it's a bubble or if that's gonna burst or if it's gonna keep going up. What I can tell you is that if you look around in the world, and once there is a huge rise in the price of real estate, and then when there is a new projects, for instance, once the tallest building is built in the city, when that's done, it's in many cases it's been followed by a huge decline in real estate prices. In Bogota, there is this new skyscraper, BD Bacata, and I think that that one is the tallest right now here. And the prices in Bogota has been going up for a very long time. Even though there is a huge demand, something is telling me once you're up, it's gonna come down, and I think it will.
Okay, interesting. So that means you would not suggest any investments in Bogota, in particular.
Long-term investments in real estate in Bogota, no, that I would not recommend.
Okay.
Business-wise in Bogota, there are huge opportunities. If you are involved in infrastructure, that would probably be even the best. Apart from that, there are a huge demand for new items. There is a huge middle class in Colombia ready to spend money, and they like to spend it. I mean, you won't see that many places empty on a Friday night, which is today. I imagine people wasting loads of money during weekends. So if you are in the terms of hotel and nightclubs, bars, fresh restaurants, it's a tough business. But if you got something very good, I'm sure you will make good money as well.
That's actually a very good point. I totally agree. I think there's definitely a huge opportunity, especially in the luxury sector and also in the nightlife sector. For example, actually last week I went with my girlfriend. I went to one of only 3 rooftop terraces, I think, in all over Bogota, and the price of that rooftop terrace was like of a beer was the same as in the Bogota Beer Company, which is like for people who haven't been to Colombia, it's like an Irish pub style. Was more or less the same, and I was like, okay, you just have to make sure, I don't know how, but make sure that you get access to any rooftop and get a license and just make it like super fancy and then make the beer not, I don't know, like not around $3, but maybe $10, and you're gonna target a totally different audience, which in my opinion isn't really a lot of times is not being satisfied and covered that much in Bogota. How do you see that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Which is why, for instance, I know there are screaming market. There is a huge market looking for these kind of things. If you just can make sure that you have something unique and a little bit more stylish, you will be set off for a good investment. Like you said yourself, there's not that many roof terrace bars, and I know for a fact that people love that. So anyone with a great investment for a rooftop bar is going to make a good business.
So for me also to understand, for example, if someone listens to this session and has a lot of money and says, okay, you know what, I'm interested. I wouldn't mind investing some of my money in Colombia. This person could contact you, and you would then how would that work? Also, with respect to the wealth management, you would then talk to this person and ask him or her about their particular preferences, or you have a certain structure and process, and you say, I always do this and that, and no matter what comes. Do you have different portfolios? Do you go towards an individual basis? How does it work if someone wants to give him or her give his or her money to you?
Very nice question. I love this question. Well, it's very different. It all depends on the client. The client could be a person, or it could be a business. It could be an enterprise. It actually all depends on the client. What I do is that obviously we have a good conversation. That's very important. You need to know your customer. You can't do a good job unless you know exactly what your client wants and what he's looking for and what he has. So I would like to say that I would always start off with doing what I call an investment profile. Investment profile is a huge questionnaire where we gather everything and break it down so we can get the most out of the investment. Uh, so basically, anyone who wants a great management of the money, there are so many different ways to invest. Uh, some people could look for investment in real estate.
All right.
Some people could work, I mean, some people could look for a stock portfolio to be managed. So this is something it's too general, and it really needs to be settled with each and every client.
Okay, that means you really sit down with this client, have a Skype conversation, and say, okay, what's your idea? How much do you want to risk? How much do you want to invest? And then you're gonna go with your idea and with your plan, investment plan.
Exactly.
Okay. For the ones who have joined recently, a quick note: if you want to ask questions right now, you can. If you are in Google Hangouts, you can go next to your name. There's a small question mark, and next to that, there's a small panel, and click that panel. Looks like a net, and then you're gonna see a small icon which is called, or which says Q&A. Click on that, and then you can raise your question, and then we can answer them. Sorry. Yeah, perfect. So I really like the idea, and I'm really impressed by your project, and I know that I wouldn't even know how to do that, and I think it's very interesting to also see that you are definitely one go-to guy. If someone wants to invest in Colombia, he or she can approach you and say, okay, I want to diversify my portfolio, and then I can approach you. Concerning your own investments, because there are a lot of people maybe also questioning themselves, okay, or wondering what your personal portfolio looks like. Which things have you invested yourself until now, or right now? Which investments are you long?
I can tell you that my own portfolio is probably the most exaggerated oil portfolio you could find these days. I'm about 90% in oil, and that might bring some questions, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. It depends when you went long, well, when you start to invest. But yeah, go ahead. I'm really curious about that.
Actually, I went into oil for about 90% of my investment last June. So it's been about 7-8 months now.
And the oil price was then at what was it, 50, 40?
Yeah, exactly. It was around 50, 60 back when I went all in. And you might ask, wasn't that the dumbest thing you could have ever done? And I would say to you, no. And why would I say that? Well, I mean, there are certain things you need to understand about oil. I've been into oil for a very long time, not just these last 8 months, so I do have certain knowledge about oil. But I could see back then similarities to what happened to the subprime crash and the financial crash, which gave huge opportunities to invest in banks. For instance, Bank of America was a great investment back then when it all crashed. Today, it's oil, and everything comes in cycles, more or less. My own portfolio would be right now probably considered extreme, and it's not for everyone. Definitely not. Would I tell people to jump into oil at the moment? Yes and no, which means for a very long perspective, I think you would make really good money if you are long in oil. If you are looking for something short in oil, then you should stay way off.
Okay, interesting. So you definitely say, for example, it really depends on the longevity and also on the time horizon you're gonna invest, and so when do you expect your oil price to be like, and also maybe with respect to Colombia, when do you see like a certain recovery of the oil price, and maybe also based on which reasons? Until now, you mentioned, okay, there has been some ups and downs in other markets, in the banking market, and also maybe in real estate market. So whenever it went down, most of the things went up again. That's a logic thing. Do you have other indicators which triggered your investment? Which have, I don't know, like, do you go for technical analysis or do you go more for fundamental analysis? What was your reasoning process in order to make that decision?
Well, first of all, it's logic and things that needs to make sense. When you look at the oil price below $30 a barrel, it's a challenge. It's a challenge not only for the producers of oil, the oil companies. It's causing problems financially for a huge number of the countries in the world. Some countries that need oil more than anything. The whole financial system is built up on income from oil. Saudi Arabia, which is probably the number one. I mean, they are losing so much money each and every single day trying to push out ridiculously low price of oil. It's not sustainable. Actually, it's not sustainable anywhere. I think you just look at Venezuela. Venezuela should be, I seriously think Venezuela right now should be causing huge problems for the rest of the OPEC countries, even though OPEC right now is not really a governing system, since they're not cooperating as they should be.
Sure. Okay. So you definitely see like political influences playing a very, very big role in that. Like it's less about supply and demand. It's much more about, okay, there are people who still manage the oil price and who decide more or less, okay, what do we want to have the oil price, at which price do we want to have it, and we need this oil price a little bit higher. So let's pull the triggers and let's go for that, and we're gonna have a higher oil price. That's more or less like your reasoning, just to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to look. For instance, there is a huge problem in the Middle East. I think. I mean, look at Syria, Yemen. It's total chaos. Total. You have Russia going in. You have Turkey. You have the United States. You have England, and you have Saudi Arabia, you have Israel, you have there's just so much conflict going on, and I think that for some reason, actually the situation is not getting better. It's not getting better at all. It's if anything, it's getting worse. It's bringing refugees to Europe. Flooding Europe with refugees as well. It's causing problems everywhere, and keeping oil this low is not going to help. And if this would have been 3 years ago, just a tiny incident. Well, it's not that tiny, but as the Russian flight getting shot down by Turkey would have made an impact on the price of oil, making it go up. Right now, the price of oil is down to a few matters. There is fear in the market. and there are, and the good thing is that since oil is in the market, it's in the news everywhere. You listen today, everyone is talking about the crash of oil, the oil Armageddon is going to be the end of the world. You just need to remember one thing, and that's that oil is still king amongst natural resources. This is still the black gold.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. That's you made a point. That's very interesting and definitely also very important to see that. I, to be honest, I am not an expert in that field, and I really appreciate all your insights which you bring to the table concerning that one. Coming back a little bit to Colombia. And also looking a little bit to the future with respect to Colombia. Also, I mean, we just talked about the oil price. Where do you see Colombia in 5 to 10 to 15 years? And also, where do you see maybe weaknesses and also their strength? And also, where would you put your investments and also again like geographically and also vertically, where do you see Colombia in a decade?
Colombia in a decade would be probably one of the greatest countries in South America, due to the high population and the hunger. There is a hunger here. Everyone is hungering for a better life, for education, and I think that's the main reason you need to look at. A great business in that case would be education, education systems, and I think.
So you mean private schools, like or language schools, or would it even be services or certain skills? Where do you see maybe some certain opportunities with respect to education?
Yeah, I see private schools as a major, and I think that for instance, you could see something as maybe where you can just get yourself an education within a certain kind of area. For instance, like a business school, but it doesn't add to all that. By the end of the term, you are qualified to work within a certain sector. So I think there are huge opportunities within education here.
Okay, that's interesting. So opening schools or business schools, I think there are a lot of. It might be very difficult to get licensed and to get like certified in an official school. Do you have any ideas about? Do you have any idea about the process there, or have you heard about if it's possible to open your private school in Colombia?
It's funny you asked, actually, and I honestly wasn't going to talk about my own interference in the school world, but as I have been now for a while, I'm with a very good friend of mine, working on a new kind of school to be established here in Bogota, and it's definitely a unique kind of a project and school for that matter. It's not like any ordinary school that you might think of. By doing that, it is a struggle to get licenses and obviously location. Just as real estate, location is everything. And but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. You just need to work with the right people.
Okay, that's a good point. I'm gonna write that down. Working with the right people. That's I think definitely a point which is very important. And this usually takes time to figure out who can you trust and who can you rely on and who's able to collaborate.
Exactly.
And not only obviously not only in Colombia, everywhere in the world. This is the same for the US or for Germany or for Sweden, I guess. Coming a little bit to towards the end of the interview, before we go into, I have a couple of questions from the audience. Our two questions which we like to ask our audience. So, what you like the most and what you like the least about Colombia, and also maybe if you want to refer to Bogota itself, you can also do that. So what you like the most about Bogota or Colombia, what you like the least?
This is a great question. What I love about Colombia is just as you would be told in Europe, you need to watch your back and everything is harmful. But it's really not. Everyone is extremely friendly. You could have a conversation with just about almost anyone, and I think that the best with Colombia is that that they have been through so much, so they have just moved on from being victims. They don't want to be victims. They want to be so much more, and they want to show the world how what they can do, and that's what I love about Colombia. Apart from that, you have so many beautiful places, and you have the four seasons in one country. I don't think anywhere else in the world you find that. So
that's true. I totally can agree with the pride of the people about their country. I think it's amazing to be somewhere where people are so proud of their country. It's just for me one of the most impressive things of this country here. And so also talking about like maybe things you don't like that much, and you would like to maybe to change or have changed.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is I think there is a lot to change for the better. For instance, we all know that Bogota is in need of a metro. They need the underground. The Transmillennial and the other buses, it's just not working. It's really not. It's too many people, and it's not built the way it should be. Perhaps another thing that's not really as attractive to the eye might be that well, I mean, you also have to understand that Colombia has been a poor country for many years. So obviously you will find rough houses. Maybe the standards in the houses are not exactly what you could expect. And but apart from that, I think that I used to look at that as opportunities. If you find something you don't like, then just don't complain about it. Look what you can do yourself to change it.
Nice, yeah. Go and change it. Yeah, that's true. Coming to the to one of the questions, Tom is asking if you. I think he really wants to know like which products he wants to import. So if you had to choose one product from Europe or from the US, he didn't say that. Which product would it be if you had to choose one?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough question. Import one single product from Europe to Colombia. Great. Well, I think food. Food opportunities in import port are huge. There ain't that much things from Europe food-wise that you can find here. I think that's a really nice thing to import.
Okay, so
Maybe even better technology. I think technology is even the best. We all know European technology, German technology, Swedish high-tech companies. I mean, I think you want to import something, go for either food or technology, and technology as number one.
It goes actually along with what David said last session about importing machinery. And another question from Julie. Which business goes into that same direction? People are interested in which opportunities are here. So which business would you implement, and also maybe where? Maybe outside of Bogota, would you go maybe to she says, maybe what about Leticia? What about the Amazon? So where do you see opportunities there?
Well, I mean, tourism. Tourism is about to explode. You want to be a part of tourism. That if you're looking for more exotic places, you need to look at tourism. What's tourism then? Well, that could be anything actually. It could be hotels, hostels. It could be used arranging trips. It could be, I mean, for instance, I think a huge market for anyone with a good sense of a bit of international business would be smart enough to implement a new kind of way to explore these places. I mean, you find in Europe, you find places to go cheap to Thailand, go cheap to Turkey, go cheap to Spain, but you don't hear any much about going cheap to Colombia, do you?
Okay, that's cool. That's interesting. Well, that's it for now. I have one final question. If people want to contact you, how can they do it? What's the best way? Do you have a website? Do you have an email address, which I can also maybe forward?
Yes, of course I do. Unfortunately, I have so many because I'm involved in so many things. But obviously, you feel free to contact me at j@improverize.co.
j@improverize. Okay, that's IM like
EROVERIZE.
Okay, perfect. Good collaboration. Okay, so for the ones who are interested, please feel free to directly contact Jay so that he can help you. He can help you also with any sorts of questions concerning importing, exporting, wealth management, Colombia in general. I think Jay, you're absolutely happy to answer any question.
Absolutely. Everyone is welcome to ask me anything they want to know. So don't be afraid to ask.
Perfect. Well, Jay, thank you very much for being with us. It was very interesting. Thank you very much for your time. And talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.